So in the last video, we practiced setting our budget and figuring out what different percentages of our net expectable income would help plan. So once you set these, like I said, they all fill into your monthly budget. The things that have zeros are things that Excel will automatically calculate for you. And just like on the budget theory page, the blue things are the only things you should fill in so that you could manually fill in those fixed costs that should be the same every month. If you're looking to make Roth IRA contributions and you need connection to someone, I strongly recommend Sean Evasision with Ameriprise. He's the financial planner that I work with. He really explains things and I definitely trust him. So be good to get started with a financial planner sooner rather than later so that one day you can retire. So the next page is a checking account. So if you're old school, you might have remember having a paper check register where you would keep track of the money in your checking account, when you wrote checks, when your bills have gone, things like that if they'd cleared. So this is just the new age version of that. And it's really to make sure that you're never going to bounce a check or bounce payment on a bill. So you're not going to schedule to pay something when you don't have anything in it. So you would go ahead and write the name of your bank account here and you'd write your starting balance. So whatever is in your checking account now. So let's say that we have $100 in our checking account, okay? So then we're gonna go ahead and every time that something's coming in or out of that account, we'll put it on here. So let's say, well, you can see that today's February 19th. So let's say that we know tomorrow we're gonna get paid. So paid from work. And let's say we know they're gonna deposit $500. And we know we have a bill next week, so we need to pay our Discover credit card bill. When we schedule the payment, we'll put it on here that we scheduled that payment for the last day of February, and we know they're going to withdraw $150. And when you pay your bill online, you should get a confirmation number, which is good to keep here just in case something ever went wrong. You have your confirmation number. And then what I do is I go ahead and highlight things green once they've actually cleared my bank so that again I can keep track of my checking account and how much money. So I have two different versions here. That way if you have two different bank accounts, you can keep track. So this is just an old school check register. Then you'll see at the bottom is every month of the year and a tab that says income. Income is really helpful if your income varies. You can put the dates you get paid, where you got the payment from in case you have a couple different jobs, and the amount. And all of this will go back to that original page and will fill in here on what you actually took home in case you had to estimate for your gross income, okay? The months, though, are the same. Every month looks the same once you're in it. So this is where we keep track of all of our expenses. So when you pay your utilities, you put the date that the utility cleared. So we are planning to pay our, let's say, our internet on March 5th. We'd write our internet bill, and we'd write that it's, $50, let's say. You can go ahead and make it green once it's cleared. Like with other things, that's up to you. But you can see when I did this, then if I go back to that overall page, it manually did it. That way this overall page, you can always check and look and see, am I staying within my budget? How am I doing? How much money am I spending? Okay. One other thing that I recommend is if you're using a credit card to put what credit card you've used. So like I said, I have a Discover. I really recommend Discover, especially if you're trying to build credit. They're a good company to work with. I've had credit cards stolen before, and they've never made me pay for any of the fraud, and they just always answer the phone and are always friendly and awesome. So if you're looking for a credit card, I can give you a referral code and we'll both get $50. But what I would do is, let's say I went to Target and bought some groceries. I would put that I went to Target today, so I put the date, and I would put J, because my first name's Jack. I put JD, which for me means it's on my credit card and it's my Discover credit card. If it's only you using the budget sheet, you really can just put the Discover too, either way. And then I put the store and I put how much I spent, okay? The reason I did this is now when I get my Discover bill at the end of the month, I go through and manually check that every charge is correct because sometimes things don't go through correctly. And so this is a good way then once I go through at the end of the month, if if that one charge looks correct, I make that one charge green and go on to the next charge. As you can see, you have utilities, so your internet, your heat, your water, anything like that. You have auto, which is your gas and your maintenance. So gas for your car, any maintenance, oil changes, things like that that you might need on your car. Medical, so if you pay for a prescription or you have a copay, this is a good spot to keep track of that. This is something that I strongly recommend getting a financial advisor so you can talk about tax strategy in terms of should you cash flow medical expenses or should you create an HSA account, because that will help you with long-term planning. Hygiene can mean whatever it needs to mean for you. And my house, hygiene means when I need razors, shampoo, haircuts, anything like that. That's not really groceries, but it is a necessity. Groceries for me means food. A personal decision is whether alcohol will come out of that or not. Some people have that come out of a different category. Totally up to you. Eating out, I include fast food on here. So I include nice restaurants, I include fast food. Again, totally up to you. Entertainment, I think of this as fun money. So if I was gonna go to a roller coaster park like Cedar Point with friends, my admission I would charge my entertainment for. If I went to a movie theater, I would put it on my entertainment. Okay. Clothing, again, if you buy any clothes for yourself, goes under there. Trips, so I use this for flights, for hotels, for camp spots, anything like that. Pet, if you have a pet, their food, vet bills, their treats, anything, grooming, all can go under there. Miscellaneous is totally up to you. I feel like for me, this a lot of times is just random odds and ends that I don't know where to put. Gifts, any gifts you buy for others. This kind of stuff adds up if you don't count it, so it's good to have a budget spot for it. Charitable, so any donations, or if you're religious and you do a tithe, which is a certain percentage of your income, this is a good way to keep track of any charitable donations you might make. Big trip savings, I do this separate so it encourages me to save money for a big, fun, fancy resort trip rather than camping trips. And it will take me years to save up enough to go, but it's a fun thing to set aside money for and a good goal. And then other savings, this is just saving for life outside of retirement, since we already have retirement savings somewhere else. So saving for the unexpected. It's always a good idea to have at least several months income set aside in case there's ever an emergency that prevents you from working. Or for example, if you were to lose your job, you don't want to instantly not be able to pay your bills. So it's good to have this number build up over time so that you've got a little nest egg of savings to fall back on. So if I, for example, went to Target and I bought some hygiene products, some groceries, and some clothes, it's totally up to you if you want to divide it. I often will divide it into each category. And so when I do that, what I'll do is I'll say the total was $50. And I'll put this in each column. So let's say I bought groceries and clothes. So it was $219 is the same date, so that when I see my bill, this should look the same, okay? So again, I tell myself what the total was because that's what I'm expecting to see on my bill. But let's say that the total was $50 and $25.99 of that was on groceries. I can type equals 50 minus what I spent in this other column, and that'll equate what I spent on the clothing. So again, totally up to you if you want to divide it like this, but I find it helpful so that I can really keep track of where am I spending money. And this helps you over time to realize if you need to adjust certain categories. So for example, entertainment seems pretty high. I have my entertainment as $100 a month. So maybe this is something you adjust and instead you want to have more money for groceries. Or if you're someone who eats out a lot, you might want less money for groceries and more money for eating out. So this is a living document, and it's really a guide to help you see where your money is going and to help you plan better with limited funds that we all have. Okay.